Garter stitch is a perfect canvas for short row colorwork knitting. It highlights every stripe, make the stripes look nice on both sides of the fabric, and because it's built only with knit stitches, that makes short row colorwork much easier. We can add stripes virtually to any part of the project. All we need to do is work with the main color, knitting all stitches until we get to a point where we want the stripe to stop. I want to place my stripe 2 stitches away from the right edge of the fabric, so I'm going to stop over here. And then we take the strand in the second color, the color of the stripe, and attach that strand using a simple knot to the strand in the main color. And then we pull this knot as close to the bottom of the stitch as we can, just like this. If you don't like knots, feel free to just start working with the new color. It's totally up to you. And then we use this new color, the second color, to make the stripe. So we knit as many stitches as we want. Basically, again, we can stop whenever we feel that the stripe is long enough. The more stitches you knit, the longer the stripe. I'm gonna make my stripe about 8 stitches long, so I'm gonna stop over here. This is the first row of making the stripe. And then we turn the work, making sure the yarn stays at the front of the work, just like this. Because we turn the work mid-row, we have to make sure that there is no hole happening over here. And to do that, we're going to use the German short rows method. So we slip the stitch with the yarn in front of the work, we slip 1 stitch purlwise from the left needle to the right needle. And then we take the yarn and move it up and over the needle. And we move it up so that when we look at the tip of the needle like this, half of the needle is covered by the stitch and the other half of the needle is covered by the 2 strands that are located at the bottom of that stitch. So that's how it's supposed to look. And then we move the yarn to the back because, again, we are knitting all the time, so we need the yarn to be at the back of the work. And we knit all the way back until we get to a place where the strand in the main color is waiting for us. For me, it's gonna be over here. Now we bring the yarn in the second color to the front of the work, and then we twist these 2 strands, the main color and the second color, like this. Take the strand in the main color, bring it to the back, and we need the twist again to prevent the hole from happening. Without that twist, we might end up with a hole. Now, no chance. So we bring the yarn in the main color to the back of the work and finish the row. Knitting, in my case, 2 stitches. This is the second row of making the stripe. Now we turn the work and we use the main color to make the joining row. And this is the row where we just knit across the row to join this partial row with the rest of the fabric. So it's plain knitting, one by one we knit every stitch using the strand in the main color. And remember that short row that the German short row method that we used? That method formed a funny looking stitch. It's a double stitch and it looks unusual. It's not the same as the rest of the stitches. And when we get to that stitch, we have to remember to work it as 1 stitch. All these strands we kind of ignore and we use it, work these strands together because this is still 1 stitch, even though it is funny looking. And then we work to the end of the row. Okay, so here's what we've got. We've got the beautiful stripe, so we should be happy, right? But, well, not so fast, because you see that this ridge stops here because we did the short row, right? And the most important part is that when we count ridges on this side of the fabric, we have 3 ridges. and over here we have 2. If we keep adding stripes, then our piece of fabric will be flat, like it will be crooked a little bit, and that's not good. And that's why we need to work the balancing rows, because we have to balance the fabric. We have to bring the number of ridges to the same number at the left side as we have the number at the right side. And we do that by working 2 more short rows. The first balancing row would be knitting the stitches using the yarn in the main color until we get to the stitches in the second color, to the stripe basically, in the second color worked in the previous ridge. So for me it's going to be 2 stitches, and I'm right here. See, I see that the stripe starts over here from this side, and that's when I stop and turn the work, keeping the working yarn at the front of the work, because we're going to do the German short row method again. So we slip the stitch purlwise, then we take the strand, you can do it with your right hand or your left hand, doesn't matter at all, move it up and over the needle, and then we knit to the end of the row, which in my case is tiny, so I just knit 1 stitch. That's it, we took care of the balancing of the fabric. And now all we have to do is work the finishing row, and that's going to be the plain row where we knit all stitches using the yarn in the main color. Again, we come to this stitch formed by the German short rows method. This stitch looks funny, but we remember that it is still 1 stitch, so we work it as 1 stitch. And we keep going, knitting all stitches to the end of this row. When we look at the fabric right now, we would see that those balancing rows did their job well. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 ridges at the left side of the fabric and 1, 2, 3, 4 ridges at the right side of the fabric. So we made a stripe without distorting the fabric. The fabric is still nice and rectangular. Now we can place the next stripe, and technically we can place it anywhere anywhere in the project. But if we place it a bit to the side, like far from the spot where the previous stripe started, then when we pick the strand in the second color, that will form a float. See, if I had to pick the color over here and start making the new stripe like this, then I will have this long float forming at the wrong side of the work. That's not nice, especially if you make shawls or scarves, something that shows the other side of the fabric. So to prevent that, we could either cut the yarn and have a gazillion tails to weave in, again, not ideal, or we could start stripes in a spot that is directly above the spot where we started the previous stripe. So if I were to start a stripe here, I would do it like this. I would simply pick the yarn in the second color and start working for as many stitches as I want. Let's say I would make it 4 stitches long, or 5 or 6. It's totally up to you. So you can make your stripes all the same size, the same length, or you can make them all different lengths. The main thing is try to start them all at the same spot to avoid those floats at the back of the work. See, these stripes, they look quite nice, no floats at all at the back of the work. As you see, this method gives us a lot of freedom. We can add stripes whenever we want, we can make them as long as we want them to be. We can alternate them or make them all in the same length. It is totally up to us. And if you want to learn more about this method, take a look at the book called Short Row Colourwork Knitting by Woolly Wormhead. I'm not affiliated with Woolly Wormhead or with the publishing house. I just like this book and I like this method because it gives us a very interesting way to add color to our projects. If you find this tutorial helpful, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon to be notified every time I publish a new video. Happy knitting, my friend. I'll talk to you in the next tutorial.